welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us just a bit about yourself and why you've decided to join us in this very important conversation?
Well, I decided to join you. Well, I'm sorry, my name is Shanna, and I found the flyer at a resource center. And recently, in the past year, 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was stage 2B, and I didn't know what to expect. I was sort of scared, but more like, okay, I have to overcome this. I'm going to overcome this. Didn't know what I would have to go through, but a journey began. I went through chemotherapy. I had surgery, radiation, another surgery. But ultimately I was cured. And during that time, I began to read more, just sort of gain more knowledge about cancer, and I began to read my Bible more, so that just opened my eyes to what God had in store for me, and that this was something I believe that was given to me so that I would open my eyes to His promise, So I wanted to join you guys so that I can tell you about that and how it brought me to what we are supposed to put in our bodies, inside and outside, and not just our bodies, but our minds as well. So I just wanted to kind of tell that story.
So how have your experiences of going through cancer and in some ways renewing your faith, how have those experiences affected how you think about your own power?
Well, cancer is a really weakening disease. It really breaks you down to where you can't even shower. Your movement is very slow. And it wasn't so much the cancer, but it was the chemotherapy. So that made me feel like, I don't want to feel like this. I have 2 daughters. I have a 15-year-old and a 6-year-old that need me. And I knew that I had to put my best foot forward and be strong for them. And by me going to not just church, but to Bible study and women's groups and just fellowshipping and, like I said, reading my Bible, I felt good when I did that. I felt strengthened when I did that. So I just began to dig more deep and, just put all of my effort into my church and just sort of, allowing that to be my strength.
So how did that contrast to how you lived your life before cancer? Had you been very involved before? Was this something that at that point in your life you decided to become more involved to feel connected to something?
I think before I just had a mind like I was doing everything right or everything was going okay for me. And I was not as spiritually connected. I went to church on Sundays, but I didn't go to Bible study. Now I'm an usher, before it was just church on Sunday and I thought that was good enough. But I found that I would learn more going to Bible study. And so before I wasn't doing my duties, but now I feel like I'm doing a lot more.
Now, for you, because like I know that you said when you were going through cancer, a lot of what pushed you to find better ways of eating, better ways of being, was to be there for your children. For you, is it do you find that a lot of your power or your sense of having power comes from helping others, comes from being connected to others?
Absolutely. Because I'm finding out it's not just me that has issues, I'll tell my story and somebody else's story is worse than mine, and I want them to feel the power that I have, and I want to help people just know their worth, know what what they can do, their abilities, and it's the strength and the power from God, So I look at it as a way to help others,
Now, did you feel that way about it before, or was there just something about the cancer journey?
Something about the cancer journey, just knowing that it wasn't. I didn't contract cancer because it was genetics. It wasn't in my family for me to get cancer. It was something that in my environment, maybe something that I ate over a long period of time, or but I just felt that I did more research about cancer and what it was and the certain things that can cause cancer, and I just became more aware, and I started implementing those things into my life and sharing them with my family. So everything is different since I was diagnosed. I'm more in tune with my body, just like I said, the way I think and everything.
And do you feel like do you feel that you would have come to that same understanding or that same appreciation for yourself if you hadn't been through cancer?
Honestly, no.
Can you tell us a little about that?
Completely honest. Just because when cancer is life-threatening, you don't know if you're going to survive, until you've gone through all this horrible poisons that they have to give you pretty much to cure you, So, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Can you repeat what you said?
Oh, yeah. I had asked whether you felt that you would have come to the same appreciation for yourself and what you can do had you not been through the struggles of cancer.
Yes. And like I said, no. Because I thought everything was fine before. And once I got sick, I wasn't fine, but I got better. And going through not feeling good and being so weak and coming out of that, it just gives you something to where you're different than before. Yeah.
So are there things that you're doing now, maybe new challenges you're taking on that you wouldn't have had the courage to do before?
Yes. And that takes me to my nutrition journey, because I didn't ever think about what I ate. I liked fried foods and I loved, sugary, sweet foods. And I found out that those things contribute to maybe why I got cancer. So I'm now I call myself a vegetarian baby vegan because I still eat meat, but it's all organic. It's USDA certified, organic, and non-GMO verified. So I didn't think I would be eating like that before, just more healthier and more cleaner. And eventually I'll get to no dairy, no meat, but for now it's organic. So yes. And just being out in my community and talking about my experiences. I didn't ever think that I would be able to do that. I've always wanted to. I've always looked at myself as maybe an ambassador or a representative. So now this has given me the platform to do that. I do community events. I have a table I set up with information, and I'm hoping to launch that into my own nutrition consultant business, and I will start at my church.
So it sounds like, and again, you hear two sides of the coin. Sometimes you hear of people going through cancer, and it just, in a lot of ways, really destroys them, really kind of a why me response. And it sounds like it lit a fire under you. It
did. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, I was young. My family didn't have it. Like, where did this come from? It's just kind of opened my eyes, opened my heart. Because finding out that African American women have a higher percentage in their death rate than our counterparts due to breast cancer. I have a young friend who was diagnosed, actually 2 young friends and a very young cousin. On her 30th birthday, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. So it's something that I have to speak up. I have to do my part.
So for the most part, it sounds as though you've taken your experiences going through cancer as positive in many ways, in that they spurred you on to do so much more than you might have thought to do before. But what would you hope your children get out of this? Because they are watching.
Yes.
What are you hoping that they're thinking about and taking forward as they mature?
Well, they saw how weak that this disease made me, and they knew who I was before I was diagnosed as well, and the habits that I had. So they see the change in me, and I want them to be empowered by it. I want them to feel like whatever God sends them, God sends their way, puts in their path, that they can deal with it, use it, move forward, build up, become stronger, better. And I say what God puts in our way, because sometimes God gives us things, that are bad, but it's a wake-up call, but just to be more, I want them to be more into it at an early age. I'm 41. I want them to be 18 when they get it, So yes, I really want this to empower them and let them know that they can do anything. They can overcome whatever, and it's by the grace of God and having faith in Jesus Christ.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us today.
Yes, no problem.
And joining us in this wonderful conversation.
Thanks for having me.